Welcome back, my loyal citizens of Ottawa. GM Yeesh here, up at the month of June after our Stanley Cup final. Game 7, lost to Eric Carlson and the San Jose Sharks. And you know what, boys? I was going through the comments and on here and Reddit, and the fans, boys, I appreciate it. The faith in the management, the faith in GM Yeesh to get the Ottawa Senators back to the Stanley Cup final where we belong. I will prove it's well deserved, and it's something it's such a huge contrast to real life, man. That was the funniest part. There's absolutely no faith in the management, deservedly so, right? They've definitely earned that reputation here over the last couple years, but I want to get into that in a little bit, like the Ottawa Senators' real life plan for the future. But first, boys, I want to recap the playoffs. I think after the first round, right, here against Detroit, we clearly were the better team. No disputing that, especially since their best player, Monroe, I think his name was, the defenseman, was hurt. But after that, right, I think realistically we probably should have been eliminated in the second round. We went down 2 games on home ice to Pittsburgh, going on the road down to nothing, looked like it was over. And then the fantastic Finn Saros, man, decided to absolutely stand on his fantastic Finnish head for us. He had this huge game 3, and then a game 4 shutout on the road. An absolutely insane bounce back game. He put up what, 46 saves in this shutout, or not shutout, overtime win against Pittsburgh, and then game 6, and he bounced back in a big way in game 7. You can find goalies, like I said it before, you can find goalies that can give you big games that are what do you call it? Super skilled, right? You can find that skill. What you cannot find, what you cannot develop, is the mentality to bounce back after a brutal game. The best goalies will always have that, boys. Look at any great goalie of all time. I can guarantee you their record after they lose a game is fantastic. They will put up a very, very good game every single day of the week, twice on Sundays. Saros, man, every single time throughout the entire playoffs, if he had a really bad game, he followed it up, right? The criticism was on him, the pressure's on, drowns it out, plays his game, man. So round 2 against Pittsburgh, he absolutely carried us. Round 3, it was pretty even, right? Ovi, man, I could do absolutely nothing to shut him down. Brady Tkachuk ended up taking over in this series, I think. He was over a point per game, and then the 2 huge Game 7 goals to lift us to the Stanley Cup final, where he faced off against the Sharks. I think it was just a back-and-forth series, and, I mean, one shot, man. One shot separated. It's one shot. Same thing that eliminated the Senators all those years ago, 2017. Just came down to one shot, and they were the ones that got the shot. Hate to see it. But it is what it is. Playoff hockey, right? So we got to move on. I'll go ahead and simulate up to draft here. I want to get the draft done. I want to get re-sign phase done, and probably free agency as well, just because I don't picture us making any like gigantic moves. Now, Melnick promised that after deep playoff runs and consistency, he'd be able to spin to the free agency. Obviously, no draft reveal for the lottery, but we only had one run, and it was kind of a Cinderella fairy tale. So I'm not going to go out and spend a bunch of money on a free agent just yet. Did Jumbo Joe retire? Did he ride out on the cup? No, Jumbo's still going, boys. So he's playing for the love of the game. I think he's 41, 42 at this point. So Jumbo getting up there. Love to see it, though. Spezza retired, just 1 point short of 1,000. Jokinen, Hemsky, a couple other notable names. Dion Phaneuf, Brent Seabrook, Callahan, Bouwmeester. A lot of really good guys. Jokinen can become a scout. I love that in 20 they can become coaches as well. That's a fantastic feature. Adds more storyline to the game. All right, so I want to get into the draft here, right? And I want to talk about the real-life Senators and their plan. But first, I may as well go ahead and show you boys the awards. I think we know most of the team awards. Sharks won the Stanley Cup. Flyers won the Presidents. Obviously, the Sharks won the West. The Ottawa Senators won the East. Best of the East, baby. Still got that to our name. Player awards, though. Here we go. John Tavares is going to take home the Art Ross Trophy and the Hart Memorial. Makes sense. I wonder if he took home the Rocket as well. I know he scores goals in this simulation. Seth Jones, Defenseman of the Year. Interesting. 3 different years, boys. 3 different defensemen have won the Norris. Lady Bing goes to Vladimir Tarasenko. That makes sense. Calder Memorial. There it is. That's why I was showing up. Maybe one other guy, but we'll hold off on that. Josh Norris, man. Back-to-back Calder winners for your Ottawa Senators. Maybe Byfield can make it a three-peat, right? He had like almost 30 goals. Played a top six role for us. Was absolutely vital. Jones takes home the Conn Smythe. Whole beast with the Vezina. Carter Hart with the William and Jennings. Hey, look at that. We finally don't win the Bill Masterton. I was getting a little sick of winning that award. It felt like a pity point. But the Devils, I wonder if they finished last. I wonder if that's why he got the award. Mr. Timmy Hortons himself takes home the Selke. Beast. Tavares wins Ted Lindsay. And nope, Tarasenko took home the Rocket Richard. So someone finally dethroned Ovi after 3 straight years of winning and probably like 8 of the last 9 or something ridiculous like that. All right, so got that all out of the way. Now, there's a couple interesting draft picks, boys, that I want to show you guys, but let's go ahead and jump into the year 3 entry draft here. Now, as far as the real life Ottawa, I see this a lot on the video, right? Whenever someone is saying something to me, I'll just go ahead and simulate up to our pick. Whenever someone is talking about the video, I think one of the common themes they always say is how great a series it is, what a great alternate reality it is from real life. Boys, I don't think this series is an alternate reality so much as it is a sign of things to come. Go ahead and pick this kid up. Kimmy. I'm going to draft Kimmy because comparison's Brad Marchand. Now, it's either him or this medium elite power forward, but look at this power forward stats, right? He can't skate. I know he's medium elite, but he doesn't seem like he fits into the team. So I'm just going to go ahead and draft this kid. There we go. Oops. Hold up. Kimmy, go ahead and draft you. Fantastic fit, man. They've been good for us. I'm going to stick with what's worked. Very nice. But yeah, I think it's a sign of things to come. And I realize people are not happy with the state of the team, as well they shouldn't be. But I do think if you're going to rebuild a team through Moneyball tactics like the Ottawa Senators are, this is the way to go about it, right? You have to build through the draft. You can't throw a ton of money at free agents like the Montreal Canadiens and New York Rangers are notorious for doing. I do think that it's cheesy, boys, but the night is dark is just before the dawn. You have to lose to win. You have to go through the downsides, right? The Ottawa Senators messed up with that Duchesne trade. They overextended in a time when they should not have, and they're paying the price for it now, but they've learned from that, right? Melnyk has set a time in which the Ottawa Senators need to go for the cup, go on a run, and then after that, you reevaluate the roster, you step back, you take a look at things, and you're like, all right, now we might want to go in a different direction. So that's good. They've learned from that. They're not going to overextend this time. That is something. Now, whether Melnyk actually follows through on his promise to spin to the cap, that's something entirely different. I'm going to believe he will, simply because he told his sponsors that, right? He didn't tell us. It's one thing if he tells the fans something, then it's like, maybe he's just saying what we want to hear. But if he tells the sponsors that, you best believe he's going to keep his word for it. That's the only reason I believe him for that. Go ahead and throw a 5th in there. This trade should go through. Just trading up for a really interesting prospect. Quite close to fair value. Alright. Let's see. I don't want to give up that other 4th. Hold up a second, boys. I'll throw this kid in. 20 years old. We're going to lose him. Just give him their rights. There we go. Alright. Sorry, where was I? So yeah, you have to build through the draft, and if you're going to do things Moneyball tactics, things like locking up Colin White long term, right? I see a lot of people were on the fence about, should we bridge the guy? Should we lock him up long term? If you're going to do Moneyball tactics, you got to lock him up long term. This young player who has a pretty decent ceiling, and hope he can develop into something more for you so that you have that sweet steal of a contract, right? I know a lot of people say the organization needs more high-end talent, but they already have 2 players who, in my mind, will easily be top 10 in their positions over the next couple years, for years to come, in Brady Tkachuk and Thomas Chabot. And I honestly think Batherson as well has star potential. Now, I'm not saying superstar, right? That should be reserved for guys like Kucherov, Kane, Taylor Hall, guys who you know for a fact will be at the top before the season even starts. By star, I mean like a Huberdeau or a Kessel, guys who on any who are like at the level where any given game or season they can easily take it over, right? But they just haven't been consistent as some of the bigger names. Now, as far as expectations for next season goes, for the Senators in general. Here we are. Yeah, well, hold up, boys, hold up. Get to the expectations in a second. Look at this kid, Yuri Mayorov, right? He's a goalie, low starter potential, not even listed as a gym. Doesn't seem like much, right? Look at this. Look at this. Glove hand, angles, puck handling, and then A plus reflexes, A plus puck control, A athleticism, no weaknesses to his name. So A usually means like 75 to 80s. A plus means like 85 to 90s sometimes, right? So I've never seen this with a goalie before, especially an 18-year-old. I have no idea what to expect from this kid, but it's not like we're hurting for a goalie, right? We already have a goalie of the future and everything, but I mean, this kid is something special. He's an interesting project. I really want to take a flyer on him. So I'm going to go ahead and give this kid a shot. Didn't cost much to trade up for him, right? And I don't really have anyone else to choose from. There we go. Go ahead and get that out of the way. All right, let's see. Simmons. Who else did I have? I think there's one other kid, low elite. Just get him out of the way. Now, as far as this next year goes, right, for his expectations, I guess I'd call it a throwaway year, but that doesn't mean it's meaningless. This is the year to tank, right? Now, I think it's also insanely valuable because since it's the year to tank, you can call up, this is the year for management to call up each prospect and give them a long enough look to see exactly what they have. And they can base their future moves with all that in mind. Like if they see Brandy as a power play specialist, right, who likes to take risks, they can pair him, or they can focus on acquiring a defensive partner for him that will complement that risky style of play and still not hurt their tanking chances because they're only giving him a long enough look to like see where they're at, right? He has like Brownie, any fringe roster player, give him the long enough look. See, you can tell what kind of player they're probably going to develop into, right? And you won't hurt your tank in the slightest. Now, if there are red flags in the rebuild, right? So far, from what the Senators have done so far, I'm on board with it. They messed themselves up with the initial Duchesne trade, and every step since then has been recovery from that. I like what they've done. I'm not talking about all the off-ice antics, right? I'm talking about purely from an on-ice perspective. I like what they've done. I do think that if it was a different team, right, they should have gotten more assets back by taking on bad contracts. The Zaitsev thing I look at is like you couldn't have gotten more. You couldn't have taken on Marlowe's for a first. But at the same time, if the difference is it's either take those on and don't have money to spend later, or don't get extra assets, but we have the money to re-sign these core players, and it will allow Melnyk to spin up to the cap. All right, I'm on board with it. Again, that's assuming he stays true to his word, something I'm holding him to, as every Ottawa Senators fan should. Goodness knows they've have no reason to not believe. Not like Melnyk's ever gone out and lied or anything, right, boys? Trusty guy. Anyway. Hopefully I don't get taken down. all jokes on here, Melnyk. I promise you, Eugene. All jokes. Don't fire me from here. I like this job. Let's see. I need a center. I think this might be... Yeah, oh, no, he's 19 years old. Anyway, so if there are red flags in the rebuild, I think the first time we'll really see it, like the first time we as the entire fan base can say, all right, something's wrong here, is based off the kind of moves they do or don't make at the draft, in the sense of there's no way they don't make a move to make the roster more competitive at some point, right? I can't see it. At the draft next year, if they're not making a move to make the team more competitive, like the NHL team, more competitive. I'm not saying mortgage the future, right? I'm not saying throw away your picks, your players, all that stuff, but you need to be competitive. You can't finish, think about it like this, boys. If they don't do anything to be competitive, they're probably coasting to their fourth straight year of a bottom five finish, right? Assuming they finish bottom five this year, which isn't too harsh of an assumption. And after that, they're not, no matter what one player they get in the draft 2 years from now, he's not going to be the difference between them missing and making the playoffs. So you have to spend another year making yourself competitive, trying to get back into the playoffs. And then all of a sudden, you wasted all the ELC years of your players, your young guys, they want to get paid, and you have absolutely nothing to show for it, right? You don't have to make the playoffs after this year. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying you need to be competitive. You need to improve your team. Use the assets at your disposal to plug at least a few of the holes. Not necessarily all of them. That will come through the draft, development, from places like you couldn't even think of, right? But you have to plug at least a few of the holes. You can't afford to continue to tank and tank and tank. That's not how it works. That's not how a successful rebuild will ever work. You'll just become stuck like the Sabres, Coyotes have been in a continuous rebuild for years and years and years to come. If you want to be competitive, you have to do it yourself through trades at the draft next year. That's the way I see it. If they don't do that, then something's gone wrong. A player or players haven't developed the way the Ottawa Senators see it. Their plan is just garbage, or something else went terribly wrong. That's the first time I think something will be able to tell. Spike Seabrook up for a contract. So we got a lot of players up for contract, boys. I'm going to do some power video editing just to go over the contracts, save some time on the video. Also, my throat is insanely parched. I need some water. I feel like I'm about to die of dehydration. I'll be right back. Alrighty, I'm back, boys. So I gave the contracts a quick look over. I'll go ahead and show you guys real quick. Let's see here. Brownie. Now, Brownie's the easiest, boys. He's being Furta here. Look at this contract. We can give him 4 years at under $4 million. I was worried too. Brownie was one of the ones I was most concerned about, because once Byfield becomes, well, if Byfield develops into what we think he can be, then all of a sudden Brownie's the odd guy out, right? I can't pay. I want him on my third line, right? Absolutely, but I can't be paying my third line center $5 million, right? That's just way too much. And as soon as the ELCs expire, I probably have to trade him. But if we can get him under $4 million, that's definitely manageable. And he was dynamic in the playoffs for us, absolutely anchoring that third line. I loved him there. So he's an easy signing. There you go. Logan Brown, very nice. I did offer him the contract, right? What just happened? Let me offer that again. All right. EA, don't be messing with me now. Please wait till I respond to your previous. All right, okay, cool. Batherson. Now, Bathy, Drizzy here. A little harder. He wants 4 years. I want to get him locked up to a 6-year deal. I know 5.4 is a lot, but look at this, boys. He was the second highest scorer on our team last year in only his second season. 20 goal, 40 assist guy. 20 power play points. He had a fantastic playoff for us. He was one of the key ingredients. I feel like 6 years, I'm going to bet on the offensive upside of Jake Batherson. I'd rather have him locked up long term than have to risk losing him in free agency. I don't think he's necessarily a core of the team. I think he's someone that we definitely want to hold on to unless we absolutely have to trade him away, right, for cap issues. So there we go. Josh Norris, he's another interesting one. He wanted a 2-year deal. I'm pretty content with giving him like a 3 or 4 year deal. The only thing about him is I'm not sure, like, he shoots so much, man. 285 shots in his rookie season. He shoots such a ridiculous clip. The one bad thing about it is that I can only pair so many players with him, right? I can't pair him with like Sanford. I probably can't pair him with Guerin, because they're snipers. He takes way too many shots, so they can't be utilized effectively. I might try it at some point just to see if maybe they take so many shots that, I don't know, they all just put up tons of goals. Who knows? So I was thinking about giving him 4 years, boys. I'm going to go ahead and give him a 2-year show-me deal. That's what he wants. I think that works out for us best. Just to make sure he's what we need, right? I don't want to sign him up to a long-term contract and have to trade him for no good reason. He wants a 2-year deal to prove he's actually that legitimate, bona fide 35, 40 goal-scoring shutdown center. fine, perfectly okay with that. Show us the money. We'll give you the money, right? Give you a two-way deal. I'm not giving out one-ways. There we go. Oops. UFAs. All right. So most of these are pretty cut and dry, right? Casey Zizekas, good for us, but he won't be returning. Great depth guy. Gabranson. All these guys who don't want to come back, we'll go ahead and get rid of them as well. Burrowecki, sure, why not? As long as he wants a one-way. Can I get him on a two-way? No, I can't. Darn it. I'll probably just end up re-signing him in free agency on a two-way if no one else wants him. All these guys who want one-ways, not doing it. Waste of money, and we have plenty of depth. There we go. From young players, two ways who want to come back. Yes, absolutely. We're happy to have you. Hansel. There you go. All right, so saving the best for last year, eh? Anthony Duclair. I asked you guys, put the question to you in the last video. What do I do with him, right? Like, what do I do with Anthony Duclair? He does not want to sign an extension with us. Now, let's see. Can I show his stats here? I can. 14 goals, 46 points. He had a career high in points. He had a fantastic playoff run for us, especially when you consider a lot of it was on the third and fourth line, right? 7 goals, nothing to sneeze at. A lot of them were huge goals at that. So he wants 3 years at $2.05 million. Now, if I were to offer him, you know, like, if I were to extend an offer, what I would do is, hey, just have 1 year, $2.5 million, right? But that's clearly cheesing the system, boys. I'm not going to do that. He wants 3 years. So here's what I'm going to do. I will give him 3 years, 2.25. I'm willing to that's the extent I'm willing to overpay him. You guys seem to be on the side of we want him on the team, and we don't mind if you overpay him a little, but at the same time, if you decide we don't need him anymore, it's not the biggest loss. So I'm going to try, right? I will try, do my due diligence, try to bring him back. If he doesn't want to come back, though, that's on him. Last but not least, boys, the goalies. So go ahead and give this kid a 1 year deal. There we go. Gustafsson. I want to give him a 2 year deal. Anything beyond that, I feel is a little bit too much. He wants 2.5. And I believe by that time, one of our prospect goalies should be ready for a backup position after 2 years if Gustafsson still wants more money. So 2 years, $2 million makes perfect sense. Now, Saros, he's the tough one, boys. He's the tough one. Now, let me show you his regular season stats. .922 save percentage, 2.35 goals against average, and a pretty nice record, right? 64 games played, 36 wins. Now, let's see. How much money did he want? He wants 4 years at $4.3 million, boys. Now, clearly, this is a fantastic contract, right? But you know what? Look at what Saros did in the playoffs. Now, his stats at the end were hurt drastically by getting yanked in games 4 and 5, I want to say, against San Jose, right? Those 7-goal games where he got shelled. He carried us to round 2, and he carried us to round 3. You have no idea how much wiggling I had to do, boys. I almost lost my job because of this, but I feel like it would be absolutely criminal if we didn't award Saros a $1 million bonus for the absolutely insane playoff performance he had for us, keeping the term the same. And I feel like at $5.3 million for the stats he put up, I feel like that's not an overpayment. Maybe I'm clearly just an idiot with money, and I need to be more stingy with the players. But, boys, I feel like we should reward playoff performers for what they do for us, right? At least a little bit. I'm not saying we go out and give them Dave Bolin contracts, right? But I feel like he had an insane playoff run for us. He should be rewarded for that. They don't reflect that in 19. Players' contracts won't change because of it. But I feel, thankfully, they're changing that in 20. I can't wait for that. That sounds absolutely awesome. I love the changes coming to 20. I can't wait for them. But I'll get into that in another video. There we go. Go ahead and simulate a day here. Just make sure everyone resigns. We should, right? Yeah. I don't think there's, a couple AHL guys. Duclair ejected. All right. I'll give Duclair one more shot, boys. One more shot for the Duke of Ottawa here to come back, chance to win a cup with your Ottawa Senators. One more chance here. UFAs. So these guys aren't coming back. That's fine. AHL depth guys, don't need them. Duclair, 3 years, 2.45. That's my final offer. Take it or leave it. Not going anything above that. I mean, he's a 20-goal, 20-assist man on given top 6 minutes. So he's a good depth guy. All right. You decide to test the free agency market. Some more money could change my mind. I'm sorry, Duclair. I can't offer you that. So go ahead and simulate up to free agency here, boys. Let me do some power video editing real quick. Should we end the video? Let me think. How long have we been running? It's a bit long. Not too long, though. So let me do some power video editing. Get the... I don't expect us to make too many big signings here, right? Power video editing, get the AHL signings done, scout what we need for maybe 1 or 2 depth guys, and we can head on to the start of the season where I will end the video. Be right back. Alrighty, boys. So I went ahead and made some AHL signings, looked over the roster, see what the NHL needs, and honestly, the only thing we really need right now is a left-handed defenseman, just in case Malikov isn't ready. So I'm going to go ahead and offer Kulikov a roster spot there, 1 year, 1.85. There we go. And you know what, boys? I was looking over replacement forwards, right? Just going along, you know, seeing who's available. I'm looking. I'm like, okay, I can't sign anyone above 83 overall. My options are going to be pretty limited here. There's no one I could definitely go out and sign that would make a huge splash and no big name or anything, right? And then it's like, whoa! Scory Perry, boys. Scory Perry. In free agency, 36 years old. Now, I'm not sure if he still has, he's not the same goal scorer as before, obviously. 16 goals, those knee injuries, man, they got to him. Real life. Clearly here in the game, too, those 16 goals at 36 isn't anything to sneeze at, but he can still play defensive hockey. He still hits, 103 hits last season. His defensive categories aren't terrible. Now, I'm a little worried on if he takes too many shots, but I figure a 1-year deal when we have all this cap space can't really hurt, right? 2.7, there we go. 1 year, I'll go ahead and offer him 1 year at 2.95. There we go. If he doesn't want to sign with us, boys, I won't force it. It's not like we have to have him, right? But I do think that extra depth goal scoring after the departure from Duclair, right, could be very useful. Now, I do have 2 contracts that are up. DeAndre Sanford, he wants to get paid like an absolute stud, right, boys? I feel like for Sanford, we should wait. While we do think he's going to be an absolutely dynamic goal scorer, and he's shown stretches of that, and in his defense, we have yet to get him that elite center he really needs to take off, right? We saw what he did with Kachuk in the playoffs. I don't want to give him that money just yet. Prove it to us, and I will absolutely give you that money and more if you want. Now with Branny's someone I think 6 years, 5.5, that makes perfect sense for our team, right? He didn't have the greatest rookie season, but at the same time, he's 85. You see his offensive categories, right? He's going to get better and better and better. That's someone I definitely want to lock up. And for everyone else, I feel like you should wait. Donskoy, Simmons, all those other guys, right? Their contracts are coming up. We can wait on them. Obviously, with Formanton, there's no need to rush since we don't know what he can beat. So let's go ahead and simulate a couple of days ahead here just to make sure everyone signed. And then we can simulate up to the start of the regular season. There we go. No, I'm not trading Eakin. We're sellers now. We're not buyers, boys. We're sellers. Scory Perry is now an Ottawa Senator. Oh, gosh. What have I done? I wonder if the fans are going to be out there with their pitchforks critiquing this move. I don't know. I like it. I always like Perry, dude. He's a beast. I love the guy. Kulikov, one of the guys you hate to have on your team, or hate to play against, but love to have on your team. Kulikov for the depth defenseman position, very nice. And then the rest of these guys, all minor league signings. So awesome. They accepted. Now will Granny accept that extension? Very nice. Let's go. So this team is structured so well salary-wise. It's one of the reasons I think we'll be able to get back to the Stanley Cup final. Ooh, fire sale in Nashville. I'm not making this trade, right? Not without consulting you guys. That can be something for the next video. I'll go ahead and do some power video editing here now that I know all the what do you call it? They're all locked up. Let's get up to the start. Ooh, Sam's. No, I'm not getting up at first. That can wait till the deadline, boys. If we are a contending team and we're up at the deadline, that's when we need to make the decision, right? If we need to go out there, make a big trade or something. I'll go ahead and do power video editing up to here. We'll get up to the let's go up to the start of preseason just so we can overview the lines real quick and get a gauge of where we're at. I'll end the video there. We can decide on captains and whatnot, and then we can get at least up to the trade deadline in the next video. Go ahead and do that. Alrighty, boys, we're up here at the start of preseason. These are just the lines the coach has thrown together. I haven't done anything with them yet. So they think our best three forwards are Ehlers, Norris, and Sanford. For some reason, Tkachuk is all the way on the third line. I assume that's because they really like the puck skills of Batherson and Guerin. Hard to argue against that. They have Perry, Byfield, and Formanton on the fourth line. And the healthy scratches are Donskoy, Ryan, and Kulikov, with Branny and Shabbat taking up the top pair, Wolanin and Trub on the second D pairing, and they have Malikov in the lineup. So we need to get all these guys scouted just to get their overalls figured out. Byfield will start the season in the NHL. Formanton, I think this is a kid who maybe we start him in the minors, right? And if the team struggles offensively, Perry's not a good fit, or someone else isn't working with the lineup right, like Simmons, maybe Donskoy, Eakin even, then maybe he's someone we inject into the lineup. He can be our ace up the hole. The way I see it, this is a much better offensive lineup than last year. I don't know if we're as good defensively, just because I don't know how Saros will do. But I think with this blue line we have, we're definitely a contending team again. Branny will be even better than before. Trouba and Wolanin are in their primes. Shabbat, 24. This is why we'll contend for years to come, boys. Our entire team, like the oldest guy here is Ehlers, as far as our core goes, right? The oldest guy here is Ehlers, and he's only 25. We have all the time in the world to win a cup here, right? Now, that's not to say we should just take every year lightly and not try and win it when we have the shot, right? But there's also like no insane pressure, like, oh, this has to be their year. You hear it all the time. This has to be this team's year, or they're not going to do anything ever again. And it just adds up all this pressure. There's none of that, boys. But that being said, I'm a greedy man. I want to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals, and I want to get back to simulating here. These the off-season videos where there's not a lot of moves to make, too calming for me, man. I don't like it. I want to get the heart racing again. I'm already hungry for more playoff hockey. I want to get back into it. But let me know who you guys think the captain should be. More of a laid-back video, right? Not a whole lot of trades or huge moves to make. Mostly just getting all the team, keeping them together. Few free agent signings, light stuff. Let me know who you guys think the captain should be. Any line combinations you want me to try out, let me know. And I will see you all in the next episode.